I think that a game of football might break out.
If he had a white flag, he'd have waved it and I surrender. If it was a boxing match, the corner would have thrown a towel in for him. I do think in seasons gone by, we have been very soft. The first sight of a broken eyelash and they were out of the team for 6 weeks. We do need to be a bit more robust.
You know, had a personal relationship with the byline. Got to it at every single opportunity. Good. I love it.
He's at amber on the traffic light, but once Richards comes inside, it goes green and we're off and running. 1 clean sheet in 13 in the league this season. I could say,
like those odds.
It's unlucky Barnsley. The Town are on their travels on Saturday afternoon when we make the trip to Oakwell to take on, well, what's been our feeder club of the past in Barnsley. Alongside me to look ahead to the contest is the Lutonian journalist James Cunliffe. Jimbo, another ground where we got a nice, good record at.
Yes, and hopefully a bit more entertainment.
Do well to have less, won't we? Let's be honest. We'll preview the game right after this intro. Hello everyone, welcome along to another episode of the Luton Town Supporters Trust podcast, the award-winning, longest-running Luton Town podcast. This season, the show is in association with Solid, providing opportunities, provisions and assistance so our academy can fulfil their potential. As I mentioned prior to the intro, we are looking ahead to Barnsley versus Luton Town, Saturday 3 p.m. at Oakwell. If you haven't got a ticket to the away end, there's definitely no UK TV coverage of this one, so you will definitely have to find another way to keep up to date with the game. I'll do an instant reaction from outside Oakwell as always. But before we get there, to look ahead to the game, I've got the Lutonian journalist James Cunliffe alongside me. Jimbo, you said before we started rolling the cameras that you like going to Oakwell, and so do Luton, because 3 wins on the trot in our last three meetings there. Let's hope we make it 4.
Yeah, I'm more hopeful about this one. I think that a game of football might break out, so that might suit us a lot better. But I have enjoyed going there in the past, and you know, when you've got a good record like that, then I think that you could be a bit more optimistic. But I think away days might be, for now, for the short period, hopefully only a short period, might be where we find a bit more joy.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I'll test your memory, which is never a good thing, of course. But the last time we went to Oakwell was actually a Tuesday night. We won 1-0. Can you remember who scored Luton's goal?
No.
Fair enough. I'll leave it for 5 minutes or so that the listeners can work out who they think it was. No prizes or anything. But it is, well, it's not a regular goal scorer. I'll give you that as a clue. Yeah, I think you're right. I think a game of football is going to break out. The first thing that I noticed when I looked at the stats ahead of this game, Jimbo, Luton are 3rd in possession in the league now. Barnsley are 4th. I would imagine that we went up quite a few places in the possession charts after Saturday, considering we had the whole ball for all of the time. So they're clearly comfortable on the ball. We're becoming more comfortable on the ball, so there'll be a battle for it, I suspect.
Yeah, that'd be good. Just a bit more open. Maybe use the whole of the pitch. That might be quite nice, wouldn't it? Instead of just 1/3 of it, congested with every single player on the pitch. That would be useful. Yeah, I mean, Barnsley try play football, don't they? So that's a good thing. And you know, when you've got those spaces, then hopefully you can affect it more towards the Stockport end of the market of performances than the Rotherham than we had recently. So yeah, I'm hopeful that they will come out. They score a fair few amount of goals, so they'll be confident there. And good news for Luton is they concede a fair few goals as well.
Yeah, they do. That's for sure. 1 clean sheet in 13 in the league this season. I guess you could say,
like those odds.
well, absolutely. I guess you could say, to coin a phrase from a certain guy who used to score plenty of free kicks for us, unlucky Barnsley, really, couldn't you? With regards to that, of course, was George Moncur who did that. Just to answer that quiz question from a moment ago, it was Amari Bell who scored Luton's goal the last time we were at Oakwell.
I do remember it now you say it, but no, I'm terrible at those sort of quiz questions. I'm sure you out there have got it.
Yeah, no, well done if you did remember it. And, well, he's not going to score again, is he? But let's hope that someone puts the ball in the Barnsley net during the course of this game. Speaking of putting balls in the back of the net, though, Jimbo, we've got an obvious man to watch out for here. Davis Keeler Dunn, joint top scorer in the league. I think he was one of the top scorers in the league last year as well, so he's obviously a regular scorer. I don't actually think he's a striker. I think he's an attacking midfielder who gets to play a little bit further forward. But either way, wherever he plays, we need to know where he is and make sure he's as far away from our goal as possible, because 7 goals already this season is a pretty decent return when you consider it as well that Barnsley have only played 13 league games. They've missed all of the international games.
Yeah, obviously going to be a dangerous threat, I think. But when you look at what we've been doing defensively since Jack came in, Mansfield take that out of aside of it, and Forest Green as well in the league. We've been solid 3 clean sheets on the spin says a lot, and not many chances for teams to get anything out of it. So they're really tightened up at the back there. Some good performances, some growing understandings, some better partnerships have helped that. If he is an attacking midfielder, then I think Saville has obviously come back into this one. He got himself suspended for Northern Ireland, didn't he? Got himself suspended for 2 different outfits in 1 week as some going. But, I think we missed him against Rotherham. It does keep things ticking along a bit nicer and allows Lamine a bit more freedom as well. And I think that that's key. But they have worked really well on the defensive side to add that extra layer of protection in front of the defenders as well. So I'd be more confident that they can try and keep him quiet. It's just whether he has 1 or 2 moments, and obviously he scored that many goals, you'd fancy him to take one of them. But I think it's going to be a really good, strong test for that defence we've got, and a marker of how far we've come, because they had a cigar on really against Rotherham. They had to focus more on attacking, and we didn't do that very well. But I think they might have to do a bit of defending there.
Yeah, I suspect Keeley's going to have a little bit more work to do, isn't he? I mean, after that header from Hugo on Saturday, he could have sat up in the stands with me and had a chin wag, because didn't have nothing else to do, did he, bar the occasional goal kick to take. I think he'll be a little bit more worked here. I hope he's not, but I suspect that he will be. Another reason why, Jimbo, is because the striker, who is definitely a striker for Barnsley, is David McGoldrick. He's been around so long, he can't be much younger than you and I, actually, to be fair, and we're getting on a bit, aren't we? But I suspect that Keeler Dunn's got pace because McGoldrick hasn't. McGoldrick would be, for the want of a better term, a James Collins type striker. Clever, uses his body well, good in the air, decent shot on him, knows how to finish, etc., etc., etc. Very much someone that we definitely need to make sure the ball doesn't get to too often.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember him really best at Notts County, where he's probably had his best spell of his career, unless I've done him a disservice there in his earlier years. But they were on the up as well at that point. So yeah, a good target man type striker. I think that's a probably good analogy. James Collins. Yeah, really good in the lower leagues, isn't he? So yeah, you've got to marshal him well. I think that we've got those players that can do that, though. And I think one thing I did like in defensive sense, although we didn't have to do much of it against Rotherham, was Tedamengi was having a right old tussle with Hugo all game. Well, until he went off. He spent most of the game lying on the floor injured. And how much of that was because he was having a right old tussle with Mengi and coming up second best every time. I don't know how much it was down to that, but I like that fight and desire from him. And I think that has shown in the last 5 weeks from Mengi. We've seen a different Mengi, or the old Mengi anyway. And so if he's the man to keep tabs on him, then, McGoldrick's going to have a few bumps and bruises.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he liked the Kenilworth Road grass, didn't he? Yeah, Mr. Huge. Oh, yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, well, the good thing is he's not going to outrun any of our defenders, is he? I mean, back even Mads Andersen to keep up with him, and he goes back to Oakwell, doesn't he? For the first time, he'll be going back to Oakwell since he left. It'd be interesting to see what reception he gets. Obviously, whenever you look at the Barnsley side, you kind of look at it with a little bit more detail because anyone good in it generally makes his way down the M1 to Kenilworth Road at some point, and that has been the case for the last 10 years or so, hasn't it? Only Mads Andersen and Jacob Brown, who are at the club at the moment, have played for Barnsley, to my knowledge. There might have been someone who had a loan spell there way back when. But one person who generally, when I see Barnsley, kind of stands out to me is their captain, Luke O'Connell, young lad in midfield. Sort of pulls the strings, good on the ball, and I suppose in our side you'd liken him to Liam Walsh. Really, can pick a pass, can be dangerous with a pass, and another one that we need to watch out for because generally the assists come through him.
Yeah, I mean, the midfield area is going to be very important in this game when it's going to be more stretched. Certainly in a defensive sense, anyway. They didn't have to do anything of that really against Rotherham, and it was just they couldn't work in the limited space they had. But I see this game using the whole pitch. I see Barnsley trying to keep it. We're going to have to work hard to get it back, and likewise, when we get it, we're going to have to keep it ourselves. So, um, yeah, when you've got a player that can do that, as we have, it's going to be interesting tussle, isn't it, to see who comes out on top. I think we're growing in confidence with the ball. Certainly, we had a lot of it against Rotherham, so I think that bodes well.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, absolutely. That is the thing, isn't it? I mean, if this is a midfield battle, you now fancy us a little bit. We've got Steele in Saville. Fanning can put his foot into a challenge, and obviously we know that Liam Walsh's got a decent tackle on him. But we've also got a little bit of quality in there as well now, which maybe recently in the last since Ross Barkley left, we kind of struggled for that um, all rounder in midfield. But we kind of got a couple of them that can cut the slack that Barkley did all on his own.
Yeah, I mean, definitely not in the Ross Barkley mould, that's for sure. I mean, he was unbelievable. One of the best I've seen on a Luton shirt, comfortably, no trouble about that whatsoever. But yeah, the midfield as well wasn't necessarily a major issue anyway before Jack came here. There was one of the areas of the pitch where we were holding our own. But yeah, they haven't lacked, for instance, until we came to Rotherham, haven't lacked Jordan Clark not being there. He'd probably been the standout player up until Jack Wilshere came, and then some other players have come to the fore and are challenging him for that. But we're not going to see him for 2 to 3 weeks. Well, that's just for a return. I don't know whether we'll see him. Maybe mid December, perhaps. Who knows? With Jordan, but we're not lacking for him being out of the picture. There's lots of players that can come in. There's some that are probably mainstays, and I'd make that George Saville and Lamine at the moment. But Walsh has come in, not done himself any harm whatsoever. So yeah, I think I'm reasonably confident and comfortable with the midfield options that we've got. They've now got to find the pass, haven't they, to open things up now? Which is obviously we didn't see that against Rotherham, but they didn't either. Rotherham didn't either. But we did it. Stockport. We saw great passing through the lines. We saw movement. We saw running. If we can get back to anything like that, then Barnsley are going to have a lot to think about.
Yeah, they are. I mean, we saw it at Northampton as well, didn't we? With Saville sending Jones away. I mean, the big thing here is we're going to have a lot more space to work into, right? It's a bigger pitch than Kenilworth Road anyway. They're not going to have any interest in parking buses and banks of four and all this, that, and the other. They're at home. The onus is on them to go and attack, and I'm sure that that's what they'll try and do. As I said earlier in the podcast, they've only kept one clean sheet, which in 13 games, which will tell you if they do park the bus, they park it in the wrong parking space. So there's probably no point in them doing that. I did notice as well, Jimbo, that they've only got 10 points from their 6 home games, and their last home league game, they were beaten by a certain Rotherham, which takes some doing. So. Don't know what Rotherham were doing thinking about attacking that afternoon, but they certainly didn't think about doing it at our place.
No, they didn't, and also, well, they beat Lincoln in the game before that, which, we're all looking at that and being very disappointed, but they got on a 9-game unbeaten run in all competitions. They did that against Barnsley, and they beat Lincoln, who were one of the teams that absolutely ripped us a new one, really, uh, pre Jack Wilshere anyway. So, yeah, when you look at it in hindsight, they are a very good team. They were the informed team in the division. And if you can control the game as we did, really, but didn't affect it in an attacking sense against the most informed team in the division, and then the weekend before that, absolutely devastate the league leaders, there's no reason why you shouldn't be going to any ground in this division with a very high degree of confidence.
Yeah, no, I agree. Prior to that loss to Rotherham, they lost at home to Port Vale as well, Barnsley. So maybe they're a side a little bit like us that are performing better on their travels, certainly results wise, than what they are at home. And I don't know, maybe there's a few teams that are going to do that if teams are going to go away from home and play low blocks in the form that Rotherham did. That's pretty much well all we need to know about Barnsley. We can turn this around to Luton, and I think when we assess this game from a Luton perspective, Jimbo, we're probably better off using the Stockport game as the guide, really. Not only were we away, they attacked us. They had a bit more danger to them. It was a game that you'll certainly take a point from. I think I'll still take a point on Saturday, even though we've obviously dropped 2 points Saturday just gone. I think if you go to Barnsley in this league, and you come away with a point, you're pretty content with that. They're a side that I'd expect to be in the top half at the end of the season. I mean, they've played 2 or 3 less games than everyone else, so their league position's probably false anyway. They go above us if they beat us, so they're probably having a better season than us, all told. But I just kind of get the feeling now that we we controlled and dominated that away game at Northampton, Jack's first. We rode the storm at Stockport for 20 minutes and then played some lovely football, played them off the park, were clinical and everything you'd want from an away performance. And 3 goals was just an absolute bonus on top of that. Um, it'd be interesting to see if we build on that Stockport win. Not that we need to. I think if we play as well as we did at Stockport, we win this game. Like you said earlier, we're probably going to win at most places in this league. But it'll be interesting to see if there is more improvement to come from us away from home.
Yeah, I think there's improvement all over the place, home and away. Anyway, this is an early stage of the Jack Wilshere project. He talks frequently about we're still building. He hasn't said work in progress, but you get the gist. That's where they are. And if the jump has been from 5-6 weeks ago to Stevenage, which effectively opened up the managerial position for Jack Wilshere to come in to where we are now, and talking that way about going to some of the better sides in this division and giving them a game, then yeah, I think the potential for growth is huge. The ceiling for some of these players clearly is a lot bigger. With the pre-season chat was us being better than we are and didn't live up to that, and now they're starting to show some signs of proving that. It's just signs at the moment because it's still early doors, but if you can go to any ground and pick up a point, like you say, great. But I think we can go there looking for a victory.
Yeah, yeah, me too. Well, like you say, he's won both away games so far. He hasn't conceded a goal. I suspect that one of those runs will end at some point. Let's hope it's the conceding the goal and not the winning away games. Lineup will be interesting, won't it? Obviously, we've got some players back that we know of, and one in particular will find his way back into the side of that, I'm sure. But defensively, are you a "it's not broke, don't fix it," or are you a we still might be able to get more out of it if we do something different?
Well, it's both, isn't it? Because he did the something different at Stockport, and he matched them up, and we went to the dreaded back three, which worked miracles under him. But then, he's stuck with the same defenders, and that's worked because there's partnerships forming. Um, I think you can do either, and I like that he's talking that way about being pragmatic to face the opposition you are playing, rather than just going this is what we're doing, because then it leaves the opposition guessing as well. Whereas, he was talking about Rotherham, that they changed for us to come down here, and they're the most informed team in the division. They changed probably off the back of that Stockport performance. So it's right, I think, that you assess what the other team have got. I take it, and I understand if people like the old Nathan Jones stuff of let's focus on us. But I think that was rhetoric. There's no way he did not assess what those teams were doing and not try and work out a game plan to get around them. Certainly in League 2 and 1, we probably had, we had the best squad. We had the best team, the best players. We haven't figured that out yet. We don't know. We have got a very good squad there, and they need to live up to that potential. But I'm very comfortable with this idea of playing the game and the team that's in front of you with a formation that works. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, if you know what you're coming up against, then you're less likely to be surprised than if you don't know what you're coming up against, right? It's one of those, isn't it? If you're aware of the challenge, then when you see the challenge in front of you, it's not taking you by surprise. You know exactly how to deal with it because they don't just tell them, do they? I think Jack, he's quite open in his pre-match press conferences, isn't he, Jack? And someone asked him about how his week works in the lead up to a game prior to the Rotherham game. And I mean, he was well within his rights to say, mind your own business and, leave it be. But he didn't. He gave a real detailed answer. And he kind of said that at the beginning of the week, the focus is on us. And then the closer that match day comes, the focus starts to turn to the opposition. So obviously we work on what the opposition do and how to counter the opposition. Obviously, when Rotherham completely change from everything that they've scouted, that's where they need to change ad hoc on the day, and you'll only know that once the game starts. We don't think Barnsley will do that. So we're going to know what they do best, and what they do best is concede goals. One clean sheet in 13 will tell you that, but they do score goals. Don't think this is going to be a low-scoring game. Hope not, anyway. So it's how we go about that. How do you, I guess what they really look for in their analyst meetings and their coaching staff meetings is how do we best nullify them in a way that doesn't nullify us?
Well, yes, because you were talking about that in the previous podcast in the defensive sense that you have to do that, and we have done that. That's why we've not conceded as many goals. And yeah, you could say that, we rode a luck for 20 minutes at Stockport, but you are going to have to do that at various points in the season, or the in vogue term at the moment is suffer, isn't it? You're going to have to do that. But
we suffered on Saturday, Jimbo.
I think everybody in the ground.
If you were in Kenilworth Road on Saturday and you didn't suffer, then I applaud you because we all suffered Saturday.
I think that the mood and the vibe of away days is slightly different. I think we're going to have to. It might be for a while, or I'll take Chris Powell's phrasing on this. That we want it to change. It might take a while, but certainly I can see that there'll be more freedom away from home, and home might be a lot more teams thinking I can eke out a point here, a la Rotherham, which we'll have to solve. But that might take a while to get the two sides of our performances purring as one, so to speak. But yeah, I mean, I think that I'm a lot more confident about this one because a game of football will take place. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, it will do. You're all over that interview of Chris Powell, aren't you? You absolutely, you loved it.
Well, I mean, the interview was pretty good, wasn't he?
I'll tell you what, the last time I saw someone that disappointed when 10 minutes was up was when I was a kid and I ran out of Christmas presents on Christmas Day. That was what it reminded me of, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, when you've got somebody like that with the experience he's got and the wealth of knowledge, you can clearly see. I think he's imparting to Jack and the coaching staff, and Jack has said that as well. That having 10 minutes was wonderful, but I could have had 10 hours and done a series, I reckon.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't think defence is going to change too much here. I think we're kind of getting into that realm of possibility where we're having a settled defence, which in turn will help with the continuity of results and things like that. Something that we just never had under Matt. He changed every 5 minutes, didn't he? And Rob never got the chance to have a settled defence because of injuries with Burke and Mengi and etc. etc. So I kind of see the same defenders. We're not going to go into formations and all of that because you are right when it's so fluid. It's 3 when we haven't got the ball, 4 when we have, and vice versa. So that's absolutely fine. But we are going to have George Saville back in the 6 role, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that he he started every game before that, and it's just that one suspension which has worked out beautifully, really, from him on his perspective that he comes back into that side, no trouble. He's the experienced head, isn't he? That I think he has offered a lot. It's just that, and it's almost in the sort of Marvellous Nakamba role when he first came that everybody loved Marvellous Nakamba. You couldn't often see what he did, apart from breaking up and giving it to the nearest player. But that's all he had to do, and he did it very well, and it was a very important role for that team. And I think I'm not comparing him directly to Marvellous Nakamba in that season, but that's the calming influence I think that he probably gives you. Also, he'll stick his boot in if he needs to.
And he can also join in higher up the pitch when we're trying to squeeze teams in, which will be our approach here. And he's got a good set piece. When you've got a low block like Rotherham had, sometimes it's a set piece that unlocks the door. And of course, we didn't have him on set pieces on Saturday. That's not to say Liam Walsh's free kicks and corners were bad, but
Didn't have many set pieces.
we didn't. No,
Just didn't force anything.
we didn't. It was literally a wall 20 yards from goal and thou shalt not pass. And yeah, let's hope it's not like that. So we're expecting Saville in 4 Yates.
I think that would be the obvious choice because I'm not sure that partnership flourished as much. He did say we're going to see it again throughout this season, but I don't see that being this game. I think that we'd probably more likely Wells in the middle, and then you can take your pick of the 2 supporting midfield stroke attackers that will go alongside him, which will be interesting as well because, if Jake Richards had the knock that he had that came off at half-time for Rotherham, if he doesn't recover, then Kadea was the man that was going to come in for him last weekend. That would be the obvious one. And he was very good. So either or for that position is fine. We saw Mili Ali as well, didn't for the last period of the game, and he actually did affect it in brief spell, which was more than anyone really had done. Got that cross in for Jacob Brown, who tried an audacious flick that didn't really work, but he worked an angle there. So yeah, I mean he came out of the team because he wasn't really affecting anything, Mili Ali, but maybe that's what you need. A little bit of kick up the bum and then takes his chance when he comes back in. So yeah, I think it'll be he'll start on the bench. Don't get me wrong, but if he's going to come on and affect games, great. So there's options all the time with those wide players because we've got so many of them. Don't think we're going to see Shaden Morris from what we heard pre-match to the Rotherham game. But although he's back training.
Yeah, Jordan Clark, who I should say will also play for Barnsley earlier in his career, not just the 2 that I mentioned earlier in the podcast. Jordan Clark and Shaden Morris were the ones that were in the fan zone before the game on Saturday, and they don't generally put players in the fan zone that are sort of teetering on the edge of a return. Usually they're there because they're completely nowhere near involved in the game. So,
well, Morris is back. He did come back training on the Thursday before Rotherham. But it was going to be too soon for that game, and it probably still might be for this one, unless he's had a really good week. And we'll wait and see on the pre-match on that. But he's definitely closer than Jordan. Jordan is 2 to 3 weeks away from just the return to training, I think. So we'll wait and see on that one.
yeah, I think you're looking at, well, we now know it's Exeter at home in the trophy, don't we? And Fleetwood away for the games that players coming back from injury are going to go at, because you can't really go against Huddersfield and Bolton with players who are not fully fit, because they're 2 really, really tough and important games. That's not to say that the 2 cup games aren't, but they're just not as important in our priorities right now. Yeah, basically we're looking at the Stockport 11 with the caveat of Richards or Kadir, depending on the stay of Richards' injury. He didn't seem overly concerned, did he, Jack? He was prepared to play him with this knock or whatever he had. So that would tell me that it wasn't, long-term threatening or anything like that. And I kind of like the fact that he did play even with an injury, because I do think in seasons gone by we have been very soft. As soon as the first sight of a broken eyelash and they were out the team for 6 weeks, and it's like we do need to be a bit more robust within what we've got here. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it is a contact sport. Pain is part of the game, sort of thing. So if you are prepared to play with it, and it doesn't hamper you, and it didn't hamper Jake Richards, he was perfectly acceptable in that first half, and it's fine that he got taken off and everything else. But I do like it when a player's prepared to play for an injury. I mean, obviously, if his leg's falling off or whatever, you can't do that. But if it's just a little bit of pain that you can manage and you're prepared to do it, I do like that. I just think, I mean, if you think like Ross Barkley came here pigeonholed as a injury prone footballer, and then went on a run of 30 odd games without missing a game, he must have been playing through pain at some point, because his body told, his injury record told us that. But he just played and played and played, and the more he played, I suppose he probably didn't notice the injury. So I kind of like that. So if Richards is still in that situation, I'd be happy for him to start again, because he's bloody good.
Yeah, yeah, he is very good. I mean, you said he was a generational talent, and he's got that to prove. But I think he got it in his potential. He's got it in his locker. But what I like about the attacking, any of those attacking positions, and now that he's found himself further out on the wing, he contributes to that group of players that we've got, is that whoever you start, you can bring them off at half time or 60 minutes. And then you've got another bunch of players that can run as hard and as quick to cause any problems when the game is open. Not the Rotherham one, because they had no space to run in, but this one with the pitch, with the way Barnsley play, that they should have a bit more joy in that area. So, you could conceivably do that, or if he's still suffering from a knock, the other way around, and Kadea starts, and then Richards comes on to try and pick some spaces in between, which we hope there will be. So I'm a lot more comfortable with that scenario, particularly now that we've got Izzy Jones back as well.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the Stockport game, the three of them down that right-hand side literally just broke the will of the left back, didn't he? It was just, if he had a white flag, he'd have waved it, and I surrender. It was like, if it was a boxing match, the corner would have thrown the towel in for him, because he just completely had enough, hadn't he? And if we get into that situation where we're terrorising left backs to that level, then I mean, that can only be a good thing, can't it? And you're right. Of course you are. I mean, Izzy Jones down that side, Jake Richards down that side, Gideon Kadir down that side. When you've had that trifecta, we'll throw Shaden Morris at you as well, if you want a bit more when he's fit.
And can I add to it, Bramall, from what he's been doing, getting
Yeah,
up and
he'll
down.
he'll
Yeah,
be on the other
yeah,
side when
yeah.
he on. I mean, that's the right side. Bramall on the left side, and once Bramall's had enough, well, we'll throw Millie Ali at you, and when he's had enough, you know, Jerry Yates can play there, Jacob Brown can play there. There's plenty of players who can play in from that left hand side. Izzy Jones came on at Northampton and played down that left hand side, didn't he, to set the goal up? So options down them wide. That is the one thing that we did do well under Matt.
Mm.
We recruited with so many options in the wider attacking area, and indeed the central attacking area, that once Jack sorted it, once our patterns of play are routine, that we're doing regularly because we've been doing them for longer than 5 weeks, he's got so many options there that if one's not doing it, then the next one comes in and next man up, sort of thing. So that's probably pretty much the only positive from the 10 games that we got under Matt, that he did at least reinforce the areas there that give us an awful lot of work to do. Yeah, I know
And
you're
this,
going to throw at me that we haven't got no fullbacks, but at least we've got plenty of wingers and strikers.
yeah, and this I suspect is one of the reasons why Rotherham played so compact, because we didn't see Izzy Jones a lot, and that will be one way that you can counter those flying wingers, because if you don't give them the space, they can't run into it. Again, I don't think that's what Barnsley would be focused on. Um, and as you saw in the last two away games that Izzy Jones played, he did have that freedom, and I think that is something that we can look forward to in this game, because why would you not want to see that?
Yeah, I mean, just on that, that's why playing Jake Richards to come inside is so key, because once Richards comes inside, the left back's got to go, or if the left back doesn't go, then someone's got to go and take him on. That leaves literally the whole world for the right back to skip past him. Jones done it for the tackle that Dodgson got his first yellow card for, didn't he, at Stockport? He did it again for the free kick that Bramall ended up scoring at Stockport. Once Richards comes inside, Izzy Jones, it's like he's at amber on the traffic light, but once Richards comes inside, it goes green, and we're off and running. And so it's a right sight to see, Jimbo. I tell you, unless you're the left back, ain't a good sight to see then. But if you're sat in the stands and you're watching that, he don't half know when to put pedal to the metal.
He does. It's good for us as well. Well, it's good for me anyway. I love wing play, classic wing play, which is why we got so very excited when Shaden Morris made his debut, and he just, had a personal relationship with the byline. Got to it at every single opportunity he could. It was wonderful to see. I love it. I love it.
That's a cracking line. Yeah, there's a lot of wingers that have done that for us when they first arrived. Yeah, I think we're pretty confidently optimistic.
Yeah, and I have been for a month now. I think I'm not daunted by that Rotherham performance. I think that there's a lot more things obviously to have to figure out. There was always going to be at some point. I think this one returns more to a game for the purists. Well, I hope it will be. I can't remember a time when I've seen Barnsley and it's been a sludgy game at all. So, and I think that should benefit us. Which it is one of the reasons why Rotherham decided to, shut up shop. And they had other things. You can throw injuries and lack of players in certain positions at me, and that's a legitimate reason why they might have. But they were the informed team in the division. There was no reason for other than worrying about our threats on top of those injury issues they had. There's no reason they changed so drastically for us and play like that. So you've got to take that as a sign of respect. And if you engage in a game of football, then you've got to be confident that you can go and win that game of football.
You do, yeah. We didn't really say it in the last podcast, but Jack saw it as a sign of respect, didn't he? And that is what it was. As I tried to allude to, when you put a statement out against Stockport, it carries an awful lot of respect from the rest of the league. You're right with what you just said then. I don't think there's many teams in this league that I wouldn't fancy us to beat in a game of football. As in, team on team, let's see who the best team is. I'd fancy us in most situations. Well, why wouldn't you? We've just gone and beat the league leaders in that situation. Just one thing to watch out for in this game. I don't know how high up Barnsley are going to defend, but if they do defend high, keep an eye on Nakeem Wells, because they've got Mark Roberts, 35-year-old centre-half who we've come up against doing the rounds, kind of a tall defender who hasn't got much pace. I'd imagine Wells will be told to pin himself on his shoulder. And if you think that the one that Richards sent him through at Stockport got him clean through on goal, I would not be at all surprised to see Nakeem Wells go one-on-one with the goalkeeper, and hopefully this time he puts it in the back of the net. The goalkeeper doesn't pull off a brilliant save. So that's just one angle to look at in terms of our attacking play, and also the other one being that Jake Richards coming in off the side and sending Izzy Jones down the wing. That's pretty much it for this episode of the podcast, apart from, of course, the score predictions. Jimbo, Barnsley v Luton, how does it finish?
I was going to go really high scoring again. Well, 3-1 is what I went for the Rotherham one. I've been kind of stung on that, and I've not got many points. I think it will be a free-flowing game. I hope it will be. Something nicer for the eye. I'm going to keep the score a bit tighter, though, and go for a 2-1 to Luton.
2-1 to Luton. I'm exactly the same minus their goal. I think we keep another clean sheet, 2-0 to Luton. And if we happen to be 3-0 up after an hour like we were at Stockport or whatever it was, then I think we'll all be happy anyway. So that's fine. 2-1 for Jimbo, 2-0 for me. Get your score predictions in, and obviously you'll get a shout out if you get the right answer. But in order to help you with your positioning on the leaderboard, we need to get that up on screen. So that's about to appear on screen now. And best of luck to everyone with your predictions. Thanks again for all of the support for the podcast that you've shown us over the last week or so. We really, really do appreciate it. We're going to be coming at you thick and fast. This is the first game in a 3-game week. We'll worry about the third game of the 3-game week later. I tell you what,
We
if
did
Jack
okay
sorts
last time.
if Jack sorts that out,
Yeah.
he is a superhuman, isn't he?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we did okay last time, so maybe that's the monkey off our back on that one.
Experience it to go through it.
Exactly.
Yep, fair play. But we will be coming at you thick and fast. We will do full previews and reviews of both the Huddersfield and Bolton games to come after this Barnsley one, as they're both pretty big games. And then, of course, we're into the Cup games where we'll just concentrate on the FA Cup and we'll let the trophy play out as it is, just because of the time that it is in the schedule. Thanks again to all of the folks at Marsh House, the proud new home of the Luton Town Supporters Trust podcast. Really appreciate your support, guys, especially right now when we're doing lots of podcasts. And we also appreciate Sean Grant and the Wolfgang for our intro music too. Until next time, which will be a review of what we hope will be another lovely afternoon watching the Town win 3 points away from home. From Jimbo and myself, come on you Hatters, let's do this.